morning.
Morning.
I just like the way the theme of the music and everything comes together to go right along with what we're going to be talking about this morning. If you look in the bulletin and you look at that list that Lisa gave you, on the back is a test. Now, how many love taking tests? Okay, it's a test on what was the sermon about last week. Now, if you don't remember, Facebook will help you. It's posted on Facebook in the church website. So all you have to do is be able to watch it again. All right? But this is now going to go right along with what we've been talking about. We've been talking about what God is, who God is, okay? But now it's about who we are. And I call this road to recovery. All right? The road to recovery, to recover what we once had with God. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, right?
Amen.
In the beginning, Adam and Eve walked with God and had that intimate one-to-one relationship with God, right? But then something happened, and they fell. Now, our first verse that we're going to use this morning comes from Isaiah. And Isaiah 57:18 says, I have seen their ways, but I will heal them. I will guide them and restore comfort to Israel's mourners. There are two types of people in this world. People who are broken and know it, and people who are broken and don't know it. We are broken. Now, I got a question. How many go to the store and they buy those things they call jigsaw puzzles? Right? They get 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzles, right? Good thing to stay busy, right? If we can trust that the manufacturer will have all 1,000 pieces in there that we need and we can put it together, how much more can we take our broken pieces and give them to God and let Him put them together? There's an old story about a man. He wanted to, it was Sunday afternoon. He wanted to take his nap, but his little boy come up to him and he goes, "Dad, I'm bored." Okay. Well, it happened to be in the newspaper a picture of the globe. Right? And it had all the land masses and everything all out on a map. Okay, now I guess that's a better word. It had a map. So the father tore the page up and handed it to the kid and said, "Wake me up when you put it together." Figuring that his child would not know where all the land pieces go and everything like that. He was in tune thinking that he was going to have a nice long nap. Well, about 10 minutes later, the kid comes up and says, "Dad, I'm finished." And he goes, "How is that possible?" He said, "Well, on the other side of the map was a picture of Jesus, so I just put that together and the map come together." How many want to be whole? How many want to be whole?
Amen.
Are we tired of being broken? Man, okay, now that's kind of hard to see up there, right? Do you ever stay up late when you know you need sleep? How about this one? Do you ever eat or drink more calories than your body needs? Do you feel that you ought to exercise but don't? Do you ever know the right thing to do but don't do it? Do you ever know that something is wrong but do it anyway? Have you known that you should be unselfish but yet you are still selfish? Have you ever tried to control someone else or something else and found that it was uncontrollable? Come on, parents. That last one hits us. All right? Our kids are growing up. We got an idea for them. We want them to go this way, but they want to go this way. Okay? If you answered yes to any of these questions, this is for us. I answer yes to almost all of them. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 3, it said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." And there's a lot of ideas about what this poor in spirit is. What this poor in spirit is people who are broken and know that they are broken. Put it in the church vernacular, people who are sinners and know that they are sinners. And we are powerless to do anything about our given condition. That's the poor in spirit. In Genesis, you talk about Adam and Eve, and it said they were first told that they can have anything in the garden. Everything in the garden was theirs. Just don't take that fruit from that tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Don't touch it. Don't take that fruit. And the very first thing that we read about when Satan comes into the picture, what's the first thing he gets them thinking about?
That tree.
That tree. You ever told your kid, don't do something? Okay? I'm that kind of kid. Okay? Don't tell me don't do something. And leave it at that. I was the kind of kid that you really should say, now, and here's why you shouldn't do it. All right? Now, I would tell you this, I don't know how old I was, but I remember this. And my dad was putting in light sockets all around the upstairs, where we were now going to have our bedrooms. And my dad said, don't put your finger in there. I did. Because I wanted to find out why. God said to Adam and Eve, don't eat of that food. And they did. And it says then, after they had eaten the food, they realized they were naked and they were ashamed. Well, what's the very first thing that they tried to do when they realized that they did something they shouldn't do?
Hide.
They tried to cover it up. All right? Let me tell you, that doesn't work either. Because, as Scripture says, your sin will find you out. We got to realize something. God is God, and I am not. Say that.
God is God, and I am not.
Wow, one voice. Come on. God is God, and I am not. Come on. Now say it like you mean it. That takes care of a whole lot of things, doesn't it? Because we realize we can't fix everything, can we? We realize we're broken and we need Him. The cause of our problem is our sin nature. In Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12, please turn with me. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 13. I'm sorry, 14, verse 12. I'll get it right. See, I had to remind myself. All right, Proverbs 14. I should have used my markers, but it is. Proverbs 14, verse 12. There's a way that appears right, but in the end it leads to death. We may think that we know what's the right thing to do. Adam and Eve thought, well, the right thing was to become more like God and knowing good and evil. And the devil used that. Right? Well, what was the appeal? They become like God. They would know good and evil. And she said she looked at the food and it looked good to eat. Not everything that looks good for us is good for us. God is God, and I am not. In Romans chapter 7, verse 15, Paul starts this whole portion about the very struggle that we go through. He said, I find this at work in me. Whenever I want to do good, evil is right there to tempt me. And then I find that it is not the good that I do, but the evil that I do. And then he makes a statement. What a wretched man I am. Who will save me from this body of death? That's a broken person realizing they are broken and that God is God and He is not. That's the condition I want to talk about today. Do you know that you are broken? Do you know that you are helpless to do anything about your broken condition? Now we're on the road to recovery. The first step is admitting that there is a problem and that we are helpless to solve the problem. The first step to recovery is admitting that we are sinners. Now, why do we have a problem with that? Well, I think number one reason why we have a problem with that is pride. We don't want people to think bad about us, do we? We're afraid of what other people think. But if they knew just what kind of sinner I was, would they even want to be with me? If people knew that I struggled with this sin or with that sin, would they want to hang out with me? Preachers sometimes are afraid to admit that they're sinners because the congregation would fire them. I'm going to burst a little bubble. I don't walk on water and I don't have holes in my hands. I'm a sinner. And the only thing that keeps me together is the grace of God. So we try to control our image, what other people think. We want people to think that we have it all together. What happens when that bubble gets burst? So I'm going to ask you something. You struggle with something? Is there something that you struggle with? Nobody's answering. Come on, this is the road to recovery. We have to admit that we struggle with things. I struggle with certain sins. I do. I got a temper sometimes. Okay? I don't like that. But I do. I have some anger issues. That's true. Now, I don't think I'm telling you anything you don't already know, right? How many were surprised by that? Good. Okay? Admitting this is the first step into recovery. Adam and Eve, God comes and he calls out to Adam, and what did Adam and Eve do? They hid. Seriously, okay? Is there a place that we can go that God can't find us? Is there something that we can cover up that won't come out? We can try. Adam said, I heard your voice and I was afraid, so I hid. Why did you hide? I was afraid and we were naked. Who told you you were naked? Now, Adam does this thing and we do it too. It's called blame. Now we spell blame, remember this? Be lame. Be lame. You want to know who is to blame for our sinful condition? We are. So now in another sense, we try to control other people. All right? Now, I am guilty of this. All right? Loretta can tell you, it's 1981. I had come to the Lord, and every Sunday, and I mean every Sunday, that the invitation was given, I was pushing her. Get up there. I was nudging her. Come on, get up there. Why? I wanted it for her. Okay? Now you might say, well, that's a good thing. But I was trying to force her. I was trying to control her. So finally, one Sunday, two of the elders came from the back, grabbed me by my arms, pulled the chair away, and pulled me back. And they said, you can't push her. You can't force her. But I wanted it so much for her. And then as my kids came of age, I wanted it so much for them. I get it. What are you waiting for? I wasn't ready. But I wasn't willing to accept that. No. Because, well, what would that look like? You know? What would that look like? I'm a Christian, she's a Christian, but our kids aren't going the way of the Lord. What would that look like? And I was trying to control the whole situation, and it didn't come until I gave up control. God is God, and I am not. we try to control our problems. Now, there's another word that goes here, and that word is denial. All right, and I know it's a bad joke, and I used to say, denial is not just that river in Egypt. Okay, denial is this. I don't need that. I don't need God. I don't have a problem. I am not a sinner. Now, what does 1 John tell us about that? If we deny that we are sinners, we make God out to be a liar. I just want you to think about this for a second. You're standing before the throne of God, the very one who spoke and the universe came into existence. He is the all-powerful Alpha and Omega, and you stand up and you say, you're a liar. I don't know. I don't think Dante's Inferno was right, but I wonder if there is a seventh level of hell for somebody like that. When we say, I don't have a problem, I am not a sinner, we are making God out to be a liar. God is God, and I am not. I need Him every day. And that's not just a song. I need Him all the time. Not just when things are going bad. I need Him all the time. Then we try to control our pain. This is where things get a little more difficult. Because now we try to control that pain by dulling that pain. And people will turn to alcohol, they will turn to drugs, they will turn to illicit relationships. They will turn to everything but God. We have an epidemic in this world. Not just here in the United States, we have an epidemic. And the epidemic is a sin epidemic. And people just aren't dealing with it right. Okay? And they try to control the pain. And I'm talking about physical pain as well as emotional pain. Okay? And that's, we have emotional pain. Well, that's when we start hopping from one relationship to another and say, oh, this is the one I really needed. I didn't need that first one. And then, oh, well, you know, now I need this one. And we start hopping and hopping and hopping in relationships. People do this with churches too, right? Oh, I don't like that preacher no more. He's stepping on my toes. I'm going to go over here. Or those people were cold to me. I like the song of Excuses, right? And it said, the preacher didn't even shake my hand. I'm going to go over here. Or these people are trying to control me. And we start church hopping. Some people do it for a different reason, but I'm just getting at that point where people just move around. Whether it's relationships or churches or whatever, they just move around and try to control the pain. And if they can't control it by moving around, they try to control it with drugs and alcohol and things like that. And we have an epidemic. We have an epidemic. But there is a solution. The results are disastrous. When we play God, the results are disastrous. Fear. Why did Adam and Eve hide? They were afraid. This frustration. This isn't working. You know? And then we start being lame. We start blaming. You know, it's all your fault. Fatigue. We're trying and trying and trying and nothing is happening. And instead of turning to God, we become exhausted. David wrote in the Psalms that as he tried to hide his sin, he was exhausted. It zapped his strength. Now, David tried to hide his sin, right? From 1 Kings chapter 12, you know, he got involved he had a one-night stand with Bathsheba. Okay, he thinking, hey, I'm the king, she ain't gonna say anything, nobody's gonna say anything to me. No big deal, right? But then he gets that note. I'm pregnant. Oh, great. All right, it's okay. I'm the king. I'm in charge. I'm going to control this. I'm going to fix this. I'll send for Uriah. He brings Uriah in. Go be with your wife. We'll convince him that the child is his. Uriah doesn't do it, right? Bigger problem. Come on. We'll get him drunk. We'll get him drunk just so he even thinks he did it. Except there were too many witnesses that he laid passed out on his doorstep and never got to be with his wife. All right, fine. Okay. All right, I tried. That didn't work. Come up, new plan. New plan is kill him. Sends him to the battlefield. Tells the general, when the fighting gets heavy, pull away. He dies? He dies. Word comes in that Uriah is killed in battle. David appears to be the benevolent, loving king. Right? He marries Bathsheba. Wow. She's the widow of one of my generals. And she's pregnant. I can't just let this be like this. I'll take her into the palace. She's not going to say anything. Nobody else is going to know. I covered it up. Here's the problem when you try to cover up sin. You're always going to be looking over your shoulder. Fear, frustration, fatigue, failure. Nathan shows up. I was like Nathan to that little brother, you know? I know what you did. And it isn't, David doesn't have relief in this until he comes clean. He got tired of playing God. God is God, and He has something better. First thing we have to do is admit we are helpless. Cure. In my weakness is His strength. He created the whole universe with just the power of His word. What can He do with our brokenness? You know, we talked about prayer before. Wayne was talking about it in Sunday school this morning, and one of the songs was prayer. Let me ask you, do you know how your prayers get to God? What does Scripture say about how your prayers, our prayers, get to God? Revelation tells us that the angels carry them in censers before the throne of God. The devil can't stop it. He can't change it. And your prayers, our prayers, go before God carried by angels. Admit I'm weak. And look for His strength in our weakness. I thought I brought all these up. In James chapter 4, verse 6, he said, but He gives us more grace. That is why Scripture says God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble. The proud stand there and say, I don't need you. The humble, help! Jesus talked about prayer, and He said, the Pharisee came in and said, Lord, aren't you glad you got a servant like me? I give 1/10 of everything I have, right on down to the very spices in my garden. Thank you, Lord, that I am not like that tax collector. Heard him say a little proud? Just a little, right? Just a little bit proud. But he says, the tax collector bowed down. Look at what Lisa put in there about being humble. That's so spot on. It's broken, it's down, it's face down. It's saying, you're God, I am not. And he said, he beat his breast. Lord, have mercy on me, a sinner. And Jesus said, he went more righteous than the first. God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble. Admit our hurts, our hang-ups, and our hassles. Look, Celebrate Recovery has a nice little ditty, okay? And it goes like this. Unless we talk it out with God, we're going to take it out on our body. Unless we talk it out with God, we're going to take it out on our body. We're either going to overeat, we'll do drugs or do alcohol, or we're going to get ourselves so stressed out that our bodies can't take it anymore. So talk it out. Let God be God, because He's better at it. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of God. Admit it. God is God, and I am not. I am broken, and only He can put me together. Blessed, and I like that word. In the Greek, it means, oh, how happy. How happy we are when we finally confess it and get it out. Come on. All right. When we were kids, all right, maybe this will help. Bring it down. When we were kids and we did something that we knew we shouldn't do, all right, what did we always worry about?
Getting a spanking.
Okay, but before that,
Getting caught.
getting caught. Come on. We were always worried about getting caught, weren't we? I was. And sometimes getting that worry about getting caught was worse than the punishment that I was going to get. There's a punishment coming, people. That punishment is hell. when we stand before the throne, it says everything is going to be laid bare. Now, I don't know if you're going to see it when I'm up there or not. I don't know. I know this. God's going to see it. And He's the one that's going to judge me. Wouldn't it be better to come clean now? Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. First step to recovery. Admit that God is God and we are not. And that we are broken and we need Him. I'm going to invite you in this way this morning. How many are tired of fighting the fight? They're tired of trying to cover up our sin and tired of trying to do it our way and want God to take control. If you haven't done that, I invite you today to come forward to do that. Let's stand and sing.
Three oh three.
303.